There, it's John Alexander, and I am going to present you a video on behalf of Paleoto.com. It's simply titled Paleo Acne Hacks, and even if you don't eat paleo, I recommend you watch this video because it's going to present you with 4 very common foods that create acne and why they create acne, as well as ways you can wean yourself off these common foods without too much pain and suffering. So the first one we're going to tackle is dairy because despite everything you see on TV, billboards, magazines, milk does not actually do a body good. The good news is if you've been suffering from acne, even into adulthood, there is a solution. The bad news is that making this solution work will require a little bit of willpower. The good news, once again, is I've been there before. And believe me, I have. When I was 16, you wouldn't believe how horrible this was. So I know how to make that willpower easier to tap into. And before we get into foods that cause acne, we first need to talk about habits. If, for instance, every time you have a particularly hard day at work, you eat pizza, you're going to need to reprogram your behaviors so that when tough days at work do occur, you don't automatically reach for that cheesy pie anymore. So I'll start by telling you a little story. Several years ago, I lived in the same apartment building as my mother. And during this time, I had adopted the habit of having smoothies for breakfast every single day. I made these smoothies with almond milk, which was great. Then one morning, I was all out of almond milk, and I really didn't feel like going down to the store. It was a cold winter morning. So I borrowed some 2% cow milk from my mother, and the result was a bellyache from hell. So that is one way to replace milk. I mean, given that milk's considered a staple of the American diet, it's probably one of the toughest food groups to give up. So, like I've said, I've completely replaced dairy milk with almond milk, and now I don't see the difference. And I really do owe it all to my morning smoothie. I never have anything else but my smoothie in the morning. That is my first meal of the day, and I make it very thick and it's very filling. I'll give you 2 seconds to take a look at the ingredients. You can either pause, write it down, or take a screenshot, but I'll give you 2 seconds to just take a look at this. All right, now since we were talking about pizza just a moment ago, we are going to move on to wheat. It just so happens that the US consumes 3 billion pizzas a year. Now that's 300 slices being eaten every second. And you know how much Americans spend on acne treatment each year? $3 billion. Coincidence? Well, it's quite a spooky one, isn't it? Now, why bread causes acne? Well, it's all about the gluten. The gluten in the pizza irritates your intestinal walls, releasing toxins into your bloodstream through the cracks in the lining of your bowels. Now, I hope you're not eating while you watch this. I certainly didn't tell you it'd be fun. This is all about knowing what's going on inside you. And that is one of the negative aspects of eating pizza right there, or any bread product, sorry, for that matter. So why won't gluten-free bread necessarily help your acne? You'll need to stick with bread that's made from coconut and almond flour, as some gluten-free crusts could cause you a different set of health problems. Do not automatically assume that because something carries the gluten-free label that it's automatically healthy for you. That is a very common misconception, so buyer beware. Just keep that in mind. Coconut and almond flour whenever possible. Now, how do you replace bread altogether if you want to just skip the gluten-free stuff or the coconut and almond flour varieties? Well, since I just showed you how to replace milk during breakfast, changing the wheat habit should start with your first meal of the day too, especially since having slices of toast and bagels are considered a staple of the American breakfast. If you swap those out, say, you know, maybe have an extra egg with your breakfast to help fill you up. That would be a recommendation, but try start with breakfast. Breakfast is the cornerstone of how you will eat for the rest of the day. The third staple that causes acne is white rice, and white rice has been a part of the American food scene since 1694. So with history like that, it's easy to see why it's become a staple of the American diet. Why does white rice cause acne? Well, the effect rice has on your body is somewhat similar to the effect gluten has on it. It also does irritate your bowels. However, rice causes acne based on the high levels of insulin it releases into your bloodstream. That's the key difference there is the insulin. Now, why will brown rice help with your acne? While some brown rice does have an admittedly lower glycemic index than the white stuff, it's still just high enough for you to get insulin spikes that can result in acne. How do you replace white rice? Well, I took a different approach than some other rice lovers do because I was raised with rice, and it did have a toll on the take a toll on my face by way of the acne it produced. How I did it is I gradually transitioned away from white rice by replacing it with white potatoes. Now, if you're someone who follows a paleo diet, I know that you're telling yourself you're not supposed to eat white potatoes. Well, look, we're talking about transitioning here. Once I transitioned into white potatoes, I gradually transitioned away from the white stuff to sweet potatoes, which is paleo friendly and lower in starch. If you want an additional tip, I don't know if you're like me, but I love Brussels sprouts. And I find that that veggie does help fill you up faster. So if you couple them up with sweet potatoes, you'll find it delivers a 1-2 punch of satisfaction. And finally, the fourth um, culprit behind your acne is sugar. And it really doesn't help that there's that one special night in our lives every year where we're conditioned to ask for free candy, and depending on how our parents are about it, we're allowed to just gorge on it after we've obtained it. It sets a very bad precedent for how we go on to nourish ourselves in our adult life. Now, how does sugar cause acne? Sugar increases sebum production. Probably never heard of sebum. So what is sebum? It's the product of the sebaceous glands, which create sebum for the purpose of lubricating and waterproofing your skin. So sebum does actually serve a proper purpose, something that will help you. However, too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. And when you eat sugar, the sebaceous glands produce an excess amount of sebum, and once there's too much sebum, it transforms into an oily substance, which results in acne. So that is the end of the video. I would like to give you a link. This is a free download. You can download it as much as you want. It's a 30-day nutrition tracker, and this will help you in your fight against acne because you will be able to observe firsthand how much you eat, of what you eat, and be able to cut down accordingly. So I just told you about how dairy, how wheat, white rice, and sugar contribute to acne. I'm not telling you to just quit cold. You'll probably fail if you do that. But with the help of the nutrition tracker, you can go from eating a large bowl of rice every day, if that's what you eat, to eating a medium bowl down to a small bowl until by day 30, maybe you're completely off rice altogether. Same thing with wheat, sugar, and dairy. This nutrition tracker will help you do it. So just go to paleoto.com/30 days and get your download. And when you finish another month, just come back, download it again, print it out, and just keep track of what you eat. And I wish you the best of luck.